All right, time for another video here. Last time we left off, we got started into classes, object-oriented programming, which was OPP for short. We dealt a little bit with classes and objects, which this is a huge area to cover. So let's get started in on that. Change the screens around there for you. Obviously, on the right side, we got W3 Schools, which is where we're discovering a lot about C++. Not fully understanding everything about it, but discovering a lot about it. And we're left with VS Code. In the last video, I mentioned something about a challenge, so I renamed this as a challenge C++ program where I'm going to try to add on to this and see if I can't get it to work. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but that's the challenge. You can close that down for now because we are dealing with this, not the challenge. Which means I gotta rewrite all the starter stuff. So include the library, streams, int main, and return. All right, go ahead and save that, and let's get started. So this is where we left off with the W3 schools discovering things, and we're going to do C++ class methods this time around. So methods are functions that belong to the class, just like attributes. We don't fully understand or know anything about methods yet, but attributes we kind of got into that a little bit last video. There are two ways to define functions that belong to a class. The first way, so I'm going to go ahead and add this as comments. So you can definitely see it inside. Yep, inside class definition. Nope, didn't spell it right. And then outside class definition. Okay. So there are two ways to define functions that belong to a class, inside and outside. Define a method inside the class, so that's the first one we're going to cover. In the following example, we define a function inside the class. We name it my method. Note you access methods just like you access attributes by creating an object of the class and using the dot syntax. Okay, so we got our first example right here. So let's go ahead and get that typed up. Class, my class. Curly brackets. Public is if you remember from last time, but I typically put that over here just so it doesn't span out too far across the screen. We've also got some comments I'll add in here in a little bit too. So this will be the method right here. Void my method. And it looks like maybe a parameter for it. Enter curly brackets and code, which is going to output hello world. Okay, so let me go ahead and add in these comments here real quick. First one is going to be, yeah, we'll go ahead and put it right there. So the class, which is what this part is, and then the access. Oops, I guess that needs to go down to the next line because I got it in the wrong spot. Okay, access specifier, and then the first method we have seen yet. This is also known as a function, which I was getting ready to mention that, but it did it for us. Defined inside the class. Okay, let's get this back over here. Obviously, the class also needs to end with a semicolon, and then the rest of the example here is down in the main. So we got my class, my object, just declared, and then we got my object dot my method with parentheses, and that is just declared as well for now. And we got a couple more comments. Call the method, and then create an object of my class. And I'm going to save that. Okay, so this is runnable program right here, a runnable code. Obviously, first we got the class. We got the name of the class right there, which is going to be basically a new type for us. We got public right here. We haven't really discussed this public right here yet, but this is a class specifier, obviously. But what is public? What does it mean? We don't know yet because we haven't gotten into that. But this right here should be familiar. This is a function built into the class. So obviously, if it's an attribute, then it's just a statement or a type with a variable declared. In this case, a method seems to be a function. So if it's a function inside of a class, it's known as a method. If it's just a statement or a declaration inside of a class, then it's an attribute. Then obviously down here we got the same thing as what we had before with my class as the type. The object will create for the class, the object, and then accessing the method inside the class. So go ahead and we already saved it, so we can go ahead and run it, and we should print up this. What this is going to end up doing is you created the class right here, so we got that type right there. We're accessing the class, or we're creating an object for the class, sorry. Then we're accessing the class, but we're accessing the method in the class. And I guess if we had parameters right here, we'd have to have arguments right here for it as well. In this case, it's void, so there's not going to even be a return. But I'm pretty sure if you wanted to, and that'll probably get into this later on, just like with any function and stuff, if you wanted to set a standard string and then have uh, say contents for the variable or text for the variable, and then down here you would simply put hello world, and that would get pushed in with the context or the text, and then get placed right here if you put the text right there. That way you can just create the more down here and add to it or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of different options right here is basically what it's getting at. Anyways, let's run the program, and yes, we get hello world down here as it's cycling through the code we've created. Moving on, now define a method outside the class. So we did, this is the inside right here part that we've done right here. I'll put check, because we've already done that. Now we're going to do one on the outside. Sometimes it's better to declare the method in the class and define it later. Okay, so that's just kind of the same thing as what we've done before with functions, where we're declaring it inside the class, but we're defining it later. This works especially in large programs, apparently. This is done by specifying the name of the class, followed name of the class, followed the scope resolution operator, which is 2 colons, followed by the name of the function. Okay, so then we got an example. I'm pretty sure, okay, so if I didn't look at this right here, if I ignored this screen over here, what we would end up doing is having void my method, parentheses, and then a semicolon right there at the end to declare it. We'd have this same thing down here at the bottom of the main function, but we wouldn't have the semicolon. We'd have the body of the function. That way, when we access it and stuff, it can use what's down below here, the definition of it, to put it up there. But let's follow along with the example here, and that's exactly what it looks like we're going to do. Is we're going to put the semicolon there. We're going to copy all this. I'm not even going to copy it. I don't even have to. In fact, I can put that right there. Actually, they're just moving it down afterwards. So instead of putting it down here, I guess it really doesn't matter if you put it down here, or I'll create another space right there. So if you take this right here and move it to there, got rid of the semicolon right there, then copy this right here and enter, tab, pasted it right there, put the semicolon there, save it there. Actually, let me go ahead and move this back up. Actually, no, we can go and get rid of this because we don't need that anymore. Okay, so now we've gotten it should be found. Save. It should be found. I imagine it will be. This right here shows it's not found, but it should be found once it's done there. We do need to adjust this here. In fact, oops. Okay. Oops. You really don't have to even adjust that. I mean, you could have left it. I could have left it where it was and stuff, but we got this saved. And it's set up exactly the way they have it here, but they put the comment right here where I had the comment over here. I just got rid of the comments, all I did. So I should be able to save this, run this, and get the same result. And no, for some reason it doesn't see it. Why doesn't it see it? Function definition for my method not found, but it's right here. Why is it not found? Okay, so this is kind of a stumper right here. Make sure I got this exactly the way they have it set up in here. Because it should be found. Yeah. I have nothing different than what they have. So why is it not found? Let's see if this makes a difference. It shouldn't make a difference. Move it down here. Why is it not found? What am I missing here? Ah, that's why. Okay. As it was stating here in the first line, this is done by specifying the name of the class, followed by the double colon operator. I'm not sure what that's referred to. I can't remember what it's called. But the reason this is not found is because this is just simply a function. I see what we're missing here now. This is simply a function right here. In order to call it and stuff, you actually have to tell it, hey, yes, this is a function, but this function belongs to this class right here. So therefore, we have to have my class. See, I'm learning something. There we go. Now it's found. I didn't see that before. And I would have probably never figured that out until I did see it. So that's what the examples are great for and stuff. Plus, reread the text and try and memorize the text is done by simply uh, by simplifying the name of the class, followed by the resolution scope. Not sure why you want to simplify the name of the class, followed by the name of the function. I'm not sure what it means by simplify the name of the class, but basically we have to have this right here, so it knows that this function belongs to this class. So then at that point in time, yes, we can move this if we want to all the way down here at the end of our code and save it as well. And then you can kind of do that right there so you know you got the function name right there. And that makes your code a little cleaner to where you don't have, especially if the function is big and long, you don't have it sitting inside the class and stuff. You just have it declared in the class. I do know that eventually there's a point, and I don't know if W3 Schools gets this or not, where you can take the function definitions and put them into a different file altogether. But yes, so I have discovered not only the method, but also the fact that, and this will probably stick a little bit better since I didn't see that at first, that the class followed by two semicolons, just like if you were to output something like I am, like I'm doing right here. I'm outputting this, but I have it set up like this right here. So a common denominator here is the fact that cout is a short term for character output. Okay, so maybe cout is also a class of its own, which would be in this library right here. But we can use this because this is a separate file. If you actually look on your computer, you can find this file. Until you get used to C++ and all the different aspects of it, though, I wouldn't even bother with it right now because if we look at that, it's something we may not understand fully yet. And you really don't want to be, if you mess up with that code and then save it by mistake, your this library right here will actually no longer work properly. So it's best to understand this stuff first. Eventually you'll get into, or eventually I will get into learning how to create a library of my own. But I have not learned enough about C++ to be able to create my own libraries. As you can see, I'm still struggling with kind of what is known as, in my opinion, as the basics, which creating the main, putting stuff in the main, creating classes, functions, structures, using pointers, references, enums, memory management. There's a crap ton here and stuff, and I'm still working on getting the basics down first. So, but as you can see, we're learning. So, moving on to the next part. So that's the outside. So we got the inside right here done, and the outside done. That makes perfect sense to me on how that's done now. So we can move on to the next part. Next part is parameters, where we can simply add parameters to the method or the function and then set an argument for it. Now here's the thing. We have a function right here which is specific to this class. We have the function declared right here so that we know that, that when the compiler goes to see it and stuff, it knows that this right here is defined somewhere else. And then we also have the function being called right here in the main. Before I move into this example, which you probably can see already, the question I would have before going into that, and I would guess, does each one of them have to have the same parameters set up? Now, I know that the type only needs to be in the definition, which this is the definition. This is no longer the declaration, it's just the definition. This would be the declaration, which is not a definition. The type has to be in the definition. I'm pretty sure the way this has to be set up, the type has to be in the definition, but the variables do not have to be in all three of them. Or not, the types don't have to be in all three of them. Man, I'm confusing myself again. There we go. Okay, moving on. Let's get this right. So we've changed a few things. We've changed the class name to car in this example, which we're dealing with parameters, and I forgot to read that. You can also pass values to methods just like regular functions. So we're going to rename this as car. Still got the public. We're going to change this. Instead of void, it's going to be integer speed. Remove all this right here, and we're going to set the parameter to integer max speed. So we're declaring it again right there. Down here in the main, nope, we haven't gotten to the main yet. So I'm going to go ahead and move this back up here, because this is where they have it. That way mine doesn't confuse anybody with what theirs looks like. So now we need to change this right here to be the same thing as a declaration. Int speed, nope, car first. I almost did it again. Speed, and then the parameter set for int max speed. Okay. So according to this and stuff, if I was wrong about my first assumption, which is why I don't like using assumptions. But according to this, yes, the type has to be both in the declaration and the definition both. Now, not so much the the call, but yeah. So back into the main right here, because we need to make some adjustments. Actually, we need to continue fixing the definition here. So we're going to return max speed here. And then we're going to adjust things down here so it's not my class anymore. It's car, of course. Still got the same object. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Car. My object's still going to be the same. The function call is going to be different though. The function is going to be speed. Oh, hold on. They're changing it all together. So they're going to actually output this. Standard cout. And then they're changing this right here to speed like it is up there. When we call this, we just need to call the class and then the function itself. We don't need to add the car part to it because it's already been added to the my object area. In this section right here, I guess it can be kind of confusing. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove all this clutter here. Yes, we have some comments here, but I'm going to remove them. I'm going to adjust where they are, is what I'm going to end up doing. These two I can go ahead and keep up here, even though they don't have many more. Create the object for the car, which we've already seen that before. Call a method with an argument. Okay, so that is the comment for this right here. Call the method with an argument and save it. So, same thing. We got a method right here, but it's just a declaration. We got the definition for the method right there, also known as a function. This time we have parameters set in it. The type is going to be an integer. Max speed is our descriptive word or variable. Max speed is going to be returned. So pretty much we're not doing anything with it. We're just basically putting something in there and returning it right back. There's nothing actually being done here. So this is pointless code, but for this example, it does help us understand it. And down here, we're creating a variable or an object for the class car. And then we're going to output pretty much max speed. Is there much of a difference between just putting 200 down here? No, not really. Ignoring all this and putting 200 down here, it would be a simpler code, but getting used to doing this simply, yes, I would definitely do that. That way you understand how class works a little bit better, how outside method outside definition for a function being used inside of a class with a declaration. Ooh, that's a lot of words. Being used and then calling it. So that is the example for using parameters with an outside function or outside method being declared inside a class, and then calling a class using a variable and an output. Man, that's a lot. Then we got another challenge one right here. You're welcome to try the challenge task if you want to. Again, I'm not going to try it. I will expand it right here because I believe this expands it. No, that just shows a solution. Okay, so create a class dog with a method bark that prints wolf. Uh, then call that method from main using an object of the class. So a way for you to kind of practice this and try to figure out how to do it on your own. Again, I'm not going to do that because trying to figure out on my own and stuff would take up too much of the video time, which we're almost 30 minutes into again already, which is fine. And I got something in my throat. But yeah, so for me to figure that out and stuff would take more time than I want to put into this video. So, but yes, it's something you can do, something I could do later on. Right now, I've already got me a challenge. Again, this challenge is sitting over here. I haven't done anything with it yet. I will get to that later when I have some available time. Right now, I'm just trying to get through all this and learn more about it. And once I get through all this challenge, I may be able to just fly through it. Once I get through all this, I may be able to figure out how to do that and stuff in 5 minutes flat. Once I get through all the basics and get it all memorized and built into memory. So, all right, moving on. So that's going to be the end of this video right here. The next video will pick up with C++ constructors. Constructors is something we have not dealt with yet. I do remember it saying something about it and stuff and writing it down here in the comments, but we have not dealt with it yet. So that's what we'll pick up next time. Again, if you like the videos, click the like button. Not mandatory. None of the stuff in these videos are mandatory since I am just kind of sharing a journey with you. If you want to see it for yourself, it's fine. If you want to throw any comments in there, questions in there, make any corrections to something I'm saying, that's perfectly fine. I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to that sort of stuff. I think that everybody's welcome to their own opinion, and I'll let them have their own opinion. So for me and stuff, I am more focused on learning this stuff, getting it down, understanding it, and continuously moving forward without getting stuck and spinning my wheels, not learning something else, just trying to figure something else out. Because as you can see and stuff in some of these examples, it may explain it to you just a little bit farther down the page. So it does look like this constructor area has about 3 different things right here for our next video, which we'll get into. So was it constructors, constructor, and overloading. So that'll be it for this video, and I will see you next time.